This Marksman uses Heartseeker, the new skill for this patch, to clear maps fast and deal great bossing damage. It procs Dragonfire from Dragonsong and Burning Daggers from its skill tree. You deal bow damage, spell damage and throwing damage, all at the same time. Apart from its good damage, it's actually decently tanky, because you get maximum glancing blow thanks to Heartseeker's skill tree, and you can get great dodge as well. And of course I've built this as tanky as you can, so going in double Dread Ring, Ravenous Void. So if you can get all the items, you can be quite tanky for a Marksman. Still not gonna be anything close to like a block Sentinel, but pretty good. And otherwise the setup is quite usual for Marksman, so Peak of the Mountain for crit and Morning Frost dexterity stacking, so nothing too crazy happening there, but it's the great way to get damage. So you actually deal fire damage and cold damage on this build, so the cold damage comes from Morning Frost by stacking dexterity, and the rest of the damage is fire. So it's about 50-50 or 60-40 split for the damage in the high end, so you actually deal a little bit more cold damage than fire. For skills, the setup is quite usual for a Marksman, so Shift for movement, Shurikens for the armor and some utility, and Smoke Bomb for utility, cleansing blow. And we also spec Cinder Strike just for the more damage multiplier for Burning Dagger, so it actually works for the procced Burning Dagger. And the skill Heartseeker itself has a unique mechanic with the recurve, so we actually scale up the recurve chance by stacking dexterity with one of the nodes in the skill tree. So what it does, it basically makes Heartseeker hit again, and that way you get a lot of procs, a lot more damage. Alright, Heartseeker, main damage skill, of course we make it fire on this setup, and then we want to trigger Burning Daggers as well. So keep in mind, Burning Dagger is not mandatory for the build, you can easily play without this, so this consumes mana. So you might have mana issues early on if you don't have mana regen, or if you don't have this allocated. So you need quite a bit of points to actually spec this node here, and you must have a heart drain for the mana. So ideally at least 2 points. A third point will also help, so it just depends how much attack speed you have and how much you're spamming, how much mana you will need. And ideally you also get a bit of mana regen either from the red rings or just like a regular ring, you get a bit of mana regen for that. And then otherwise, so the recurve stuff, of course here, recurve per dex, and then more bow damage, more bow damage. If you have extra points you can get rest of the bow damage here. And this gives you a stacking buff, so flat fire damage for all damage types, very good. You can usually get like 15 stacks or so in the end game. Shift, movement skill, just like on any Marksman. Cleanse here. Invuln, get dodge, movement speed. You can get this if you have extra points. Also Shurikens proc with this node here, so you never need to manually cast Shurikens. But you can cast them if you want to, so it has like a backflip, so if you want like an extra dash, you can also manually cast Shurikens, so this gives you armor, also immobilize. Smoke Bomb, I'm going for the backflip, you don't need to do it, so you can unspec this if you don't like the backflip him. Otherwise, go for Cleanse, Crimson Shroud, and then also the glancing blow stuff, so the usual utility skill for a Marksman, some slow here also. Cinder Strike, so the only reason why we spec this is for this node here, so 50% more Burning Dagger damage, and this works for the Heartseeker procced Burning Daggers. So for the passives, it's quite usual for a Marksman, you always pretty much see these skill trees for it, so you want to get all the attack speed you possibly can, you want to get the HP gain on hit, HP gain on crit, so that's gonna be your sustain, you don't need any leech or anything like that, and that's also why having Peak of the Mountain is completely fine, we don't need leech on the build. You want to get the concentration stuff for a lot of damage, dodge, tankiness, movement speed, very very strong. Of course, the Heartseeker recurve chance here. Silver Shroud, so you dodge the next hit with this. Nice for tankiness. Some bow damage. Crit multi. Only 1 point needed here in crit vuln. That's enough. We have a lot of hits. I'm also maxing out all the cleansing blow, just so you have like decent tankiness with the build. You can also drop these points here if you don't care about them, of course, if you want a bit more dexterity or something like that, but I quite like taking these. So I do have two variants for this build. We have the Dragonsong main build and then also Reign of Winter. So this is much more bossing damage, but of course the range is gonna be lower because Dragonfire has like a smaller cone, and then Reign of Winter is like a long range icicle, so this does deal way less damage, the Reign of Winter stuff, and you also really need a crit affix here on the bow before you play this. This is super good for starting out, the Dragonsong one. And I would also personally play this in endgame as well. Feels very good in maps and way higher bossing damage. But you can choose either one you want, of course. So let's start with the main variant. So of course, Dragonsong is your main thing. You want to get it as soon as possible. You can easily get this with like Rune of Ascendance, or so it's very, very common item. Gives you many stats, plus to fire skills, crit chance, everything. So you can easily cap your crit for all damage types, so that's no problem at all. And of course, Morning Frost for the dex stacking, so you get flat cold damage per dexterity for both attacks and spells. And then for the amulet here, we're using Purse of the Swine, so this is just for the stats. Of course, we don't care about the bone curse things. Lots of attributes, resistance, fire damage, really good. Easy to get, just slam it with 1 LP and you're good to go. You can also, of course, use this amulet here, like I have on the Reign of Winter variant. So this is worse for the main build, because the fire damage makes it so the Purse of the Swine is actually better. And of course, aspirational, you can go Nihilist, very good. So Peak of the Mountain, easy crit chance, we don't care about the leech downside like I said before. You want to get the crit avoidance here, T5, so you can actually cap your crit avoid. Ravenous Void, Red Rings, so these are of course not mandatory at all for the build, but they make the tankiness very good, and getting res is easy of course with the Red Rings, so you can use this even without LP. If you get them, very nice, but you can of course just use the stuff in the starting planner, for example. The relic here gives you a lot of increased cold damage, so we go for this relic because we do deal a lot of cold damage on the build, like I said. So with the endgame setups you have a lot of dexterity, like over 100 already, so you actually deal a little bit more cold than fire. So this is the best relic we can use. And the good thing with the Dragonsong setup is that int and attunement are equal, so we got a lot of value from this because you get more water orbs, so more increased damage. And the belt here is Brewmaster Bugle. This drops from the Woven Echo Grand Brewery, so endurance, vitality, so mostly for the stats, and then just the endurance threshold can be useful as well if you spam potions. Very, very good belt. For the idols, so HP, Elires on all of these large idols here, and then the one huge idol with the recurve and Elires. You can also, of course, use a fourth large idol here, but this is quite nice, gives you repeat chance also on the enchant. And these ones, Glancing Blow enchant is quite nice. You can also use endurance if you lack endurance. Throne of Ambition for a lot of more damage, and then just one frailty idol, so that's enough to cap your frailty chance. For the blessings, so we want to get both cold and fire shred, because like I said, we deal both of these damage types, and then increase cold damage, crit multi, all res. So of course, with the Morning Frost boots, keep in mind it has a downside where you lose physical and cold res per point of dexterity also, so you do need quite a bit of resistances. And for the Reign of Winter variant, so like I said, less DPS, more range, and we also spec on this setup, we spec the puncture node here for the clear speed basically. So otherwise the setup is quite similar. We don't spec any of the Burning Dagger stuff, so that's you basically don't need any kind of mana sustain. On this variant I also spec Dark Quiver. Of course, Cinder Strike, Burning Dagger node is completely useless for this, so you just get some Frenzy here and Crimson Shroud. It's not like super strong or anything. You also get Dusk Shroud here. It's not super strong, but it's still something. And you also proc it with this and this, so you don't need to use the skill manually. For the gear, you basically just like swap Dragonsong for Reign of Winter, so that's all you really need to do. There's nothing like actually changes otherwise. And the blessing, of course, so no fire shred here. And this amulet makes more sense for Reign of Winter, since we don't benefit from the increased damage on the Purse of the Swine. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much the same. And then, of course, on the aspirational, we go for Red Rings and Ravenous Void and all that. So yeah, overall, very, very solid build. Good damage, good clear speed, fun to play. Definitely the best Marksman build you can play right now. And of course, it's a new skill, so it's fun to play the new stuff. So yeah, that's the build. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.